Specifically on the cost of living, these measures that we keep hearing may come about in a form of an announcement, maybe some sort of fiscal event before the autumn. What exactly is it that's being explored? We're hearing potentially a windfall tax on the table again.
We've got to be very careful about thinking what the government can do about the cost of living in terms of fiscal events. That the issue with inflation is that it is borne down upon by monetary policy tightening and fiscal policy remaining restrained. The things you can do that are positive are the supply side reforms to make the doing of business easier. The problem with spending more money is you make the inflationary problem worse rather than better. And this is very difficult for politicians because with the cost of living problem, there aren't easy popular things to do. And if you do those, you make the problem worse. So you have to do, as Margaret Thatcher showed in the 1980s, the things that need to be done. And if you explain to voters why you're doing them, what the reasoning is, and they then see the long-term benefit, that is then rewarded. But you can't take short-term expensive measures because they just make things worse.
Lots of people point to the hundreds of billions that were spent over the peak of the pandemic, that something like that could happen again. But your argument seems to be now that actually potentially some of that spending has led to some of the inflation we're seeing now.
The two things that have led to the inflation, well, there are a number of things. There's the war in Ukraine and there is the supply side issues that have beset the world. So you've got containers in the wrong ports and all of that's been pushing up costs. But the two domestic things were the quantitative easing from 2008 and the extreme government expenditure to deal with COVID. Now that money was the right thing to do and the quantitative easing was the right thing to do. But to do either of those now would be adding fuel to the flames. So both of those have to be wound back and brought under control.